Hello everyone and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan. Before I start today's program, I'd like to thank all those friends of mine who have been helping me with my technical part of this show. I got some input, someone told me maybe I should put the camera a little closer. I tried that today, we'll see how that works out. I also got a little tip that maybe the bar was a little too noisy. I don't know. Not sure about that one. Make a comment. Let me know what you think. Good, bad, whatever. I got thick skin. I can take it. Just let me know. I can't improve this program unless I get some input from other people. So I want to thank everyone that has been trying to help me with this. I want to thank my beautiful wife Bridget for helping me set up the camera today and kind of giving me a tip on where to hold the bottle to zoom in. I'm going to try that again. We'll see if I get it right. Hopefully I do. So thank everyone. I want to thank everyone for that. And also I want to mention that tomorrow is sort of an epic day for me because that'll be the first time I have a guest on Stan the Wine Man TV. It'll be Gordy Rawson from Chatter Creek Winery in Woodinville, Washington. Looking forward to that. Really excited about that. He's a great guy. Love his wines. We'll taste a couple of wines, talk a little bit about his history. He actually worked with David Lake at Columbia for, I think, around 11 years. David Lake's an iconic, he passed away a couple of years ago, but iconic winemaker in the state of Washington. Very respected, and Gordy has been in the wine business for a long time. I'm looking forward to that program. I have a little cheaters here. Unlike some guys in the past, I sometimes forget certain points, so I hope you don't mind. I got my moleskin on my left and my iPad on my right just in case I need a little assistance with this brain. Sometimes I need help with that. So today we're going to be looking at Hyatt Vineyards, and the subject of this episode is second labels. Second labels are huge in the wine business. One of the classic second labels long time ago was Robert Mondavi Winery came out with Woodbridge. Now today everybody knows that Mondavi and Woodbridge, same winery. But back in the day, Robert Mondavi wanted to start Woodbridge so he could sell off some of his lower quality juice, you could say, or perhaps other juice at a cash crop. Let's just put it that way. Woodbridge was a heck of a lot cheaper than some of the Robert Mondavi wines. He didn't want to sell this wine under the Mondavi label and dilute his brand, the Mondavi brand. Same is true today. A lot of wineries will come out with a second label to sell off some juice perhaps they didn't use in their higher end wine, and they can make some money off of it. It's a better value for people and stores that want to sell wines of higher quality but not as expensive. That's what I have my iPad for. I looked up an article and it was quite interesting. Some of the wineries that have second labels, and you'll be familiar with many of these. Iconic producer Dariush has a second label called Caravan. Their Dariush wine rolls in at around $90. Caravan rolls in at about $35. Dominus, big time winery. Their cab goes for $150. They have another line called Napa Nook that goes for $55. Harlan Estate. For those of you who had the privilege of tasting Harlan Estate, I have a couple of times because of my good friend Dionysus. That's what I call him. Harlan Estate rolls in about $400. The Maiden is $130. Now $130 is still cheap, still expensive. Certainly not one I'm going to go out and buy a ton of, but a lot different than $400. Louis Martini, their Zin goes for about $40. They have a Zin called Ghost Pines that goes for $15. Opus One, $175. Well, it's over $200 actually, and they have a second label called Overture, which rolls in at about $70 or $80. So you get the idea. Stag's Leap, the first one that I became familiar with as a wine guy, this was a long time ago when I was first learning about wine, I loved the hot crust wine. Back then it was about $7, $8. Now it's $10, $12. Love that wine. I even cellared a few bottles to see how they would flesh out, and I opened one about 4 years later. It was a beauty. Well, I found out it was Stag's Leap Wine Cellar's second label. You had to read the back of the label to even see that. Sometimes they don't even put it on the back of their label. Anyway, that was an eye-opener for me that these wineries have these second labels, and a lot of times they don't even mention their winery on the back of that label. They just leave it straight out. Duckhorn has Migration, a lower tier wine for them, and also Decoy. These are good wines, great producers, but they're a heck of a lot less money than their big boys, or big brothers, or big sisters, whatever you want to call it. They're a good value play. Now Hyatt, the wines I'm going to be tasting today, went backwards. We did it the other way. They started out with Hyatt in 1983. Leland and Linda Hyatt started this winery in 83, and back in 83, that was when the Yakima AVA came into play. So about 30 years ago, they started their winery. They started at Hyatt, very value-driven wines. I compare them a lot to Barnard Griffin as far as the dollars per bottle. Today, you can buy the Hyatt wines for around $10 a bottle, which is an excellent value. And but in 2002, they released their first version of Roza Ridge, and Roza Ridge is more money. So they went the other way. They started a second label that was more money. They had developed a couple of different vineyards. Roza Ridge Vineyard, which is on Rattlesnake in the Rattlesnake Hills AVA. They're proud of that. They're proud of that vineyard. They wanted to show it off, and on the back of the label it says produced and bottled by Roza Ridge Winery. So I'm not sure exactly the thought on that. Maybe they didn't want to affect their Hyatt value brand, but they went with Roza Ridge. I tasted a Roza Ridge wine a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a week ago. Really liked it. I was very impressed with it. So today we're going to try 4 of the Hyatt Vineyard wines. We're going to look at what they're delivering. We're going to start off, of course, with the oh yeah, see my little Christmas decor there. Actually, the whole house is all decorated up. Got a nice little village scene right in front of me. You can't see it, but it's really cool. My wife does that every year. So let's try this zoom in thing. We practiced a little bit today, so let's see if I can get it right. Okay, here you go. Hyatt Vineyards Cabernet Sauvignon, 2010, $10. Do you got that? Hyatt Vineyards. There you go. So we're going to give this one a whirl. Let's do a little rinse here first. Yeah, if you can find some of these second labels, you'll be surprised how good they are. Some guys, like I just went down to Steele Winery and helped with a crush this last October down in Lane County. Steele Winery has 2 different labels besides Steele. They have Shooting Star, and they have Writer's Block. Now, Writer's Block is sort of a collaboration between Quincy and Jed Steele. Quincy, his son. But they're all produced at the winery. You would never know Writer's Block is part of the Steele wines. Now, the Shooting Star wines have Jed Steele's name on top of it, so it's a little bit more obvious. But these are wines that, Jed produces. Same winemaker, same quality of production and blending and all that. He just uses probably less oak treatment on his wines, and he obviously, uses maybe a different grape source for these wines. So this is a Hyatt Vineyards Cabernet Sauvignon, 2010, $10 a bottle. So right off the bat, I get this wood element on the nose, a lot of cherry and currants. The oak is prominent, which is kind of unusual. Sort of a dusty minerality coming through. And I get a little black licorice, so let's give it a try. Polished tannins, a little chalkiness there on the backside, so they start out kind of round. I get a little spice action on the back end. Good structure. I get a little kind of a boysenberry currant thing going on. Get a little black licorice. There's oak there, but it's not a huge part of the wine. It just gives it a nice flavor profile. Obviously, that's where you're getting the spice. And that's kind of impressive that you actually get some oak influence on a $10 wine. I think that's really cool. Obviously, they don't cut too many corners. This was their first label, remember that. So, pretty cool. Great value, 10 bucks. You know, it's not going to knock you out of the park. It's not going to make you write home to mom about it, but it's a good bottle of wine for $10. I'm going to give this one a B+. I think it's an excellent wine for the price. I think a B+ is a fair score. B, I'd go more B+. Because really it's got structure. The finish thins out just a little bit, but it's there. It's a good finish. It would stand up to a prime rib for sure. I wouldn't feel bad at all at serving this at my house as just a table red. Hyatt Cab 2010. Good job. So let's move on to this next one. This one cracks me up, right? It is called Hyatt Vineyards Zillah Gorilla. Zillah is the town where Hyatt is. Zillah Gorilla, Zinfandel, Rattlesnake Hills Appellation. Okay, let's give this a try. Hopefully I'm in the right spot, okay? Here we go. I want you to see the label. Got it? Can you see it? Hopefully. It's a cool label. Good packaging. I like it. A little comical. Sometimes you have to be careful with that. I mean, I know that I'm sure they put some thought into it. I'm sure Lima and Linda like this label. Otherwise, they wouldn't have it out there, right? I like it. I don't think it's too comical. But, yeah. Let's see what it shows. I've had this in the past. It's kind of... You don't see a lot of Washington Zinfandel. First of all, it's really not warm enough to have Zinfandel, but there is some spots where they can get the heat to drive up the... to give the Zinfandel a little ramped up taste, because, you know, as Zinfandel guys who like Zin, which I do, I'm sorry if you guys don't, but I like Zinfandel. It has its place for sure. If I remember right, of course I can't read this right, the alcohol level is only 14.1. So that's not bad for a Zin, you know. So the nose is, you know, it doesn't jump at you like a lot of Zinfandels out of California, Lodi, Amador County, the big, massive, jammy nose. This doesn't have that. Again, I get a dusty element on it. Yeah, there's nothing really boom. I get just a sense of the alcohol, not a lot, which is, you know, a lot of people don't like that. I get, yeah. Sorry. Nose kind of let me down on this one. Hint of vanilla, maybe a little bit of red fruit coming through. Not much. Let's see how it drinks. That's the important part, right? Although I do like a good nose on a wine. Don't we like to smell it? So yeah, this is what I remember. You know, it's got a nice, like almost like a plummy boysenberry on the front of the palate. Good flow. It isn't your typical jammy, big, massive Zin that you can get from California, but it's structured very well. It's got that. I get a little bit of a raspberry on the backside, which is really kind of delicious. And actually, that raspberry fruit is lingering. Get that hit of white pepper that you expect out of a Zinfandel. You get a little bit of that red licorice. Actually, it's leaning more towards a red fruit. I still get a little plum Raspberry, plum, boysenberry thing going on. Good. It fills your mouth. It's very silky smooth. It does, like I said, it doesn't go big jammy, but it still tastes like a Zinfandel, and I love that finish of a little bit of a cranberry, red raspberry sort of thing going on. Love it. I mean, again, $11 I think this is going for. $11, $10.99. Myself. Yeah, good wine. I like it. You know, it's a. If you're a Zinfandel fan, you want to do something from Washington, you want a kind of a cool little label. This is good. This is good Zin. Love it. Again, I'm going to give this one a B plus. Same as the Cab. Phone's ringing. Sorry about that, guys. Can't control that. Now we're going to move on to the Roza Ridge. This is their second label. Sorry, I'm going to hold off, and then my answering machine's going. There goes my cell phone. Busy place sometimes. So let's look at this Roza Ridge Roadside Market Red. And again, I didn't have a chance to look at what is in this wine. That would be nice. Anyway, here we go. Let me zoom in on this. Do you get a picture of that? That's their Roza Ridge label. That's a higher price. This one rolls in at $11.99. Still not expensive. It's a blend from Rattlesnake Hills. Let's give it a little rinse here. I want to apologize. I should have probably asked the sales rep what was in this wine, but bear with me. I'll put it on the description down below what is in this wine, so you'll have an idea what's in it. Sorry about that. Live and learn, right? Unedited. So, like, red blends are a huge thing. I mean, we just talked about it a couple episodes ago. Probably the hottest item in my store at King's Market is red blends. Everybody loves a red blend. My pick of the month for this month is a red blend called Linen from Burgevin Lane. Love the wine. So, I actually should probably review that on one of my episodes. I'll start next month. I'll start January 2014. I will have an episode with my pick of the month at King's Market, so you guys can see what it is I'm looking for with my retail palette. So this is a kitchen sink blend. They blend with a lot of different grapes. The original blends from Washington, most of them were just Cab Merlot. But now they've thrown Malbec, they throw Zinfandel, they throw Syrah. We always call it the Bordeaux blends of Washington with a splash of Syrah, because that's a really popular brand. Is they'll put Cab Merlot, Cab Franc, Petit Verdot, then Syrah. Well, there's a lot of Syrah in Washington. Less than there used to be, which is sad. I'm saving that for a whole nother day. But this Roza Ridge is their upper tier, $11.99. Hard to believe you call that an upper tier, but there you go. Again, I get that dusty element, probably a hallmark of their winemaker, Steve Hovney. Actually, their winemaker was, I'm going to cheat here a little bit. Nope, I'm not going to. Their original winemaker was was a Gamache, from Gamache Cellars, and he, of course, had to focus on his winery at Gamache, so they hired Steve Hovney, who got his chops in wine in New Zealand. I'm getting a little bit of jamminess on this. I get a little boysenberry jam, a little interesting warm spice element. Get a little, like a chocolate tone on this, which is kind of interesting. I like that. It's almost perfumey on the nose, which like almost like a perfumed cherry note. Get a little licorice too. Interesting. I love that in wine. I thought the Zinfandel, the Hyatt Zin, was good enough on the palate to kind of take away from the nose the lack of aromatics on that one, but I like it when you get a few things on the nose, as you can tell, obviously. I'm a little bit geeky that way. But I still encourage all of you to take some time, smell that wine. It's going to make your experience better. I don't necessarily encourage you to be as geeky as I am about it, but take some time. Try to identify some of those aromas that you find in wine. Everybody's different. Some people have a better sense of smell than other people, but give it a try. It's not going to hurt anything. I mean, really. It's not going to make the local paper that, hey, Sam spent some time smelling his wine. Wow, what a nerd. No, don't worry about it. Just take some time. Smell the roses, right? So let's give this one a whirl. That's a good wine. That is automatically a candidate for the pick of the month, in my opinion. $11.99, good structure, spicy. It's got good fruit. There's an underlying acidity that kind of keeps everything in balance. Chocolate definitely on the back end. There's a little bit of oak, but it's integrated well with the fruit. It gives it that spicy element. A little bit of wood tannins coming through on the back end. And that's another thing, is identifying the difference between a skin tannin and wood tannin. That takes some time, but I think you get the idea. This one expresses more wood tannin than fruit tannin. Very smooth on the palate. Good mid-palate. It carries from front to back. It fills your palate. Never gets over the top, big, jammy, but it's good fruit. Nice dark fruit notes. I get a currant, chocolate, cherry. That's good wine. And that acid kind of freshens up the finish. I always like that when there's good acidity. The finish is lingering. I get a lot of warm spices on the finish, but the acidity freshens it up a little bit. Kind of like, a little dab here, dab there, keep it fresh, keep it fresh, keep it live, Yeah, good bottle of wine. I'm going to give that one a solid B+. I'm not going to go B+. This is a solid B+, maybe leaning, hedging towards the A- side. Just because for $11.99, now you got to put that in perspective. This is $11.99. It's got good structure, smooth. It's lip smacking good. It's definitely in the delicious category, but it's got a serious side to it. It's just not all about fun and games here, boy. This is telling you it's a structured wine. B+, hedging towards the A-. Last but not least is the Roza Ridge 2010 Malbec Rattlesnake Hills. Let me see if I can get this right. Hopefully I'm getting this right, okay? Oops, here we go. Do you got it there? Can you see it? Hopefully you can. Roza Ridge Malbec. Let's give it a whirl. Let's give it a rinse first. Don't forget to rinse your glass. You don't want that other wine that you just had in there. And by the way, I'd like some comments on the bottom of the page. Give me some tips on what you think, what I did wrong, what I said wrong. Anything's possible. This is unedited, so you get what you get, right? Now Malbec, it's a huge thing. It's still a huge thing. I'll leave that one right there. This one rolls in at $19.99. Now, the problem with domestic Malbec is it's quite a bit more than Argentinian Malbec. There's a lot of reasons for that. The price of land is higher, the price of labor is higher, the price of fruit is higher. And the government doesn't necessarily subsidize as with the wineries like they do down in the south where they're trying to pump up the wine business. So there's a lot of reasons why it's more expensive here than in our brothers down south, but it is what it is. And I've tasted some really good Malbec from the state of Washington and from California and from different areas. And, you know, in fact, my winery of the year this year, which I'm going to announce on my blog, stanthewineman.com, which I'll have a link down below because I just came out with my top 40 wines under $20 list on both the stanthewineman.com and the Blue Collar Wine Guy on the PI blog. So let's give this Malbec from Roza Ridge a smell here. This one has a little bit of funk on the nose. Boy, this one's like I get the feeling that this would not hurt from a little decanting, dump it into a decanter, allow that little bit of that stinkiness to blow off. But again, I don't mind stink. Like I said, many a stinky wine have turned out to be beautiful wines on the palate. So I'm getting some really dark fruits, but it's kind of masked. It's like there's a shield over the top of the aromas. Yeah, a little black licorice. I definitely get the black licorice. There's definitely like a boysenberry currant component coming through. This one's a difficult nose. It's not jumping up and screaming at me, you know, but I definitely get the boysenberry, blackberry, kind of a tarry, almost a tarry kind of element with a little black licorice thrown in. Getting a little rose petal, starting to come to life here. That's why you swirl it around, let that baby breathe a little bit. They've been open for a little bit, but probably not long enough. But like I said, when I review wines, I don't like to uncork them forever because I want my tasting notes to match what most of the consumers are going to experience. There are exceptions to the rule, but I try to mock up what the consumer will do at home. Maybe a little bit more variation. I get a little like a tomato stem thing going on. It's not prominent. Let's give it a whirl. It's very kind of almost like a soap perfume on the nose now. Solid wine. I like the structure on this. Getting a lot of spice on the back end. Man, that spice is lingering around. Little black licorice on the finish. Not huge. It's hard to identify. They're dark fruits for sure. There's nothing like really standing out to me as far as a flavor profile, but it's like a medley, kind of like a brambleberry sort of mouthfeel with a little bit of black olive, so it kind of rounds that out. And then just at the very, very end, there's that herbaceousness that comes through, but it's not a big deal, but it's there, barely. And it's fresh again, good acidity. If you want a wine for prime rib, that might be a really good wine for you. It's $20, not too expensive. It's a Malbec. Everybody loves Malbec. Like I said, it's got good structure, a little grippiness on the backside. It's very nice, seamless across the palate. I'm a little disappointed in the complexity of this wine. I mean, I don't get a lot of like different levels. There's some interesting stuff on the finish, but it's only $20. It's a good structured wine. You could lay this thing down for probably 4 or 5 years and not hurt it at all. It's got good tannins. Both skin and wood tannins are there. My mouth is watering. I mean, that's good. It's got some good stuff going on. It's definitely bigger than, or more structured than almost all your Argentinian Malbecs. It's a pretty serious wine. It's got good guts to it. Like I said, maybe it's just my palate. Nothing's jumping out at me. I get a little bit of a tobacco-y kind of a red-black fruit thing going on. Brambleberries, a little mixture of all that. Nothing kind of just jumping out at me. But definitely a solid BB plus wine. Again, it's $19 or $20. You know, it's good wine. I think it would stand up well with prime rib. It's a good value play as far as the quality you're getting. Yeah, I'm going to go on more on the B side just because it's $20 and it's BB plus. I've been feeling kind of generous today. Actually, some of the wines I've been tasting recently have been good wines. In fact, I've been watching some of my episodes. It's hard to watch myself, trust me, but I have to do it. And you know, I feel like I'm being too generous, but you know what? These are good wines, good value plays, and you know, good tasting. Here's to keeping the snob out of wine. Cheers and ciao.